Spoilers, we made it to the moon and Stanley Kubrick didn't have a thing to do with it. Also, no, Neil Armstrong did not wish his former neighbor, Mr. Gorski, good luck. That's pretty much it. Not for those of you who complain about me divulging too much of the plot in these types of reviews, there's not much plot to really divulge here. It's basically a biopic of Neil Armstrong, picking up from when he started out as a test pilot to when he gets to NASA and eventually to him landing on the moon. That's pretty much it. The movie is well made. I will say this, it's well shot, especially obviously the scenes on the moon are really well done. There's like almost no audio through those portions. The build up to that, a lot of the testing, space testing and testing of equipment, a lot of the early launches are really well done. Unfortunately, it's like, I'll say this is a textbook movie if you're looking for a story about Apollo 11. That being said, unfortunately, it's a little too textbook. It's very, very dry. I hesitate to say by the numbers, but Neil Armstrong was a pretty introverted guy, and I say this as an introverted guy myself. So there are times where it's like you want something a little bit more from him, but he doesn't really let on. There's kind of a motif that there's a lot of death in his life, unfortunately, and it's sort of caused him to be shut off from the world. The film begins with the death of Armstrong's daughter from a brain tumor. They also touch another point. Armstrong's wife, Janet, played by Claire Foy, says something to the effect of, our first year at Edwards Air Force Base, there were 4 funerals, and we got really used to going to funerals. You do get a little bit too of he does sort of buddy up to people, Ed White, Elliot C., and unfortunately those two also come to very tragic ends. Ed White famously in the Apollo 1 disaster. The story is told well, but it's not told dramatically. It's kind of lacking in that. If you're going into this expecting to see something like The Right Stuff or Apollo 13 or From the Earth to the Moon, you're going to be a little disappointed, unfortunately. It's very by the book. Neil Armstrong was kind of mistreated by Chuck Yeager, who didn't, because he struggled with some test pilot stuff. But then he got inspired to apply to NASA. And then he makes it to NASA, and then he's part of the Gemini program, and then he's part of the Apollo, and it's just kind of like that. Like, they try to tell some drama in there. They kind of show that as he, especially in the wake of the Apollo 1 disaster, he sort of throws himself into his work, and it does start to put a strain on his family. His family was close with the Whites, Ed White, again, having died in that disaster. And his wife Janet is very, she's close to. I keep saying that she's close to the White family, basically, and because of that, she starts fearing more and more that that's going to happen. When Gemini 8 struggles again, she starts to have those fears, but it's not really dwelt on at all. It's mentioned, and then it kind of stops, and then it's mentioned again, and then it kind of stops. I mean, there's one, I thought, the best scene for Ryan Gosling's performance is a scene where he has to explain to his sons, yeah, I'm going to the moon, there is a chance that I might not make it back, and, Janet has to basically cajole Neil into doing this. Like, he clearly doesn't want to, and he clearly struggles in trying to explain it. And that's kind of exactly. It's like, it basically says Neil Armstrong's an introvert, and he remains an introvert throughout. Also, this film does not take a very positive view of Buzz Aldrin. That character is constantly cracking jokes at inappropriate times. Like, I don't know if maybe Buzz Aldrin really did that. I can't say for certain, but uh, again, it's like they don't. Like I said, it's just that's there's some natural humor that works, but there's also humor that really doesn't. Like I said, the Buzz Aldrin jokes, but there's another point where they're testing everyone. They're in the flight simulator, the gyroscope basically, and spinning everyone around. And first Armstrong passes out, and then he manages to stay. He manages to come to, and he goes through another cycle. And then we see him naturally in the restroom throwing up. And then as he's trying to clean himself off, Ed White comes in and he's looking for a place to throw up, and Neil has to point him to a different toilet. Like, that was kind of funny. You get another point after some plot problems with the Gemini 8 mission, which was to test space docking. I mean, the initial dock works, but then something goes wrong, and the module starts spinning, and they have to abandon the dock, and Neil just kind of barely manages to straighten everything before they begin their final descent. And, there's kind of this investigation in it because they have to do that. And, as sort of he's kind of getting hounded by the press, like, why did you screw up? Did you know what you were doing? All of this stuff. And it's kind of getting to him. And Ed basically says, hey, how about we just go get a beer or two? And as that happened, like, again, and that's when he starts to open up more, but then he just shuts back off again. And I'd say, again, that's kind of part of the problem. If you, like I said, I've seen most of those movies that I've just listed. I haven't seen all From Earth to the Moon, but I saw most of it. And exactly, it's like those had drama in them. The Right Stuff had drama in it. Apollo 13 had drama in it, obviously. This just doesn't have much in the way of drama, unfortunately. And it's one of those, if I wanted to watch a documentary about Apollo 11, I'd watch a documentary on Apollo 11. I don't need an acted out story with Ryan Gosling in it. It seems like I'm down on this movie. I mean, I can't say it's bad. It's really well made, and if you are a fan of the history of that stuff, of this subject, the space race and everything, you are probably going to like it, but I can't completely, wholly recommend it either. I gotta give, unfortunately, I do have to give First Man a C. Again, I know it's kind of tough because I want to try to blow this up a little bit more because I know a lot of critics are really raving about it, but it kind of left me feeling a little dry at the end.
Now the moment our faithful viewers have been waiting for, our big coffee mug giveaway. Today's winner is Mike Thompson from all the way out in Rebo, Montana. Congratulations, Mike. We'll be sending out your mug and gift certificate in the mail today. Your mug will be in the mail tomorrow.
Join Joel and Courtney every weekday at 6 a.m. on Country Morning Today.
Is there a broom back here?
I'll get it.
Okay, trailer time, and we've got mostly new trailers here, so that seems to be at least on the up and up, I guess. Now that we're sort of by Venom and that and everything, so we're kind of, like I said, we're getting some new trailers. First off, not a new trailer, it's Widows. I talked about that one before. That's the widows of a group of bank robbers try to take up their fallen husband's occupation. After that, we have The Best of Enemies, which is about a 1971 story in Durham, North Carolina, and basically how school segregation tried to end it, and Taraji P. Henson's in it, Sam Rockwell's in it. It looked like a really good cast, I would say that. Definitely probably something you might see pop up for award season, because I believe it's coming out in December in a limited release. Girl in the Spider's Web again. Then we got Vice, that's the Dick Cheney biopic with Christian Bale as Dick Cheney. Sam Rockwell again as George W. Bush. Steve Carell as Donald Rumsfeld. That looked interesting. Again, I know it's probably, it's one of those, it's getting an early release for award season consideration. Was probably not getting an early release for award season consideration. Instant Family, that's the Mark Wahlberg comedy where they take in three foster kids. Hilarity ensues. After that, we have The Mule. That's the Clint Eastwood movie where he's a drug runner, an elderly drug runner. After that, we have Welcome to Marwen. I think I mentioned this one before. This is Steve Carell. He plays a guy who was an artist specializing in pictures of or illustrations of World War II who gets attacked. He loses a leg. He suffers brain damage, and to help try to reclaim some memories that he lost, he starts working with these miniatures and making these dolls, and makes a city called Marwen. And each of the dolls in there represents people who are trying to help him. And then after that, we have Green Book. This is a movie about a guy, basically an Italian from New York, who's hired to basically chauffeur a well-known jazz musician, Doc Shirley, around the Deep South in the 1950s. Again, seems to be playing into this a little bit more. Again, looked pretty good. It's probably going to be up for some award consideration, much like how First Man was. Of course, none of those movies are going to be the next one I review. The next one I review is going to be Halloween. Probably not also going to be getting an awards consideration, but it looks fascinating enough. Let's see, so yeah, still kind of in the early scripting stages for the Random Trade review on The Incredible Hulk, so see you all for the Halloween review. Hey guys, is there a movie you want me to tackle? Even if it's some stinker like Baywatch or the Emoji Movie or something else? Check out my Patreon at Sleepy Time for Cat Productions. See how you can make that happen.